Puerto Rican kid, bald head, loves snakes, loves Blizzy, Sergio Chacon.
Yeah. What up, Pa?
Peace. Welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon, aka Blizzy Chacon. That shit's whack. I mean, it's always gonna be Dirtbag Shit podcast. The DBS podcast. Peace and welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon. Welcome to the Chacon Show. In 2005, I received a call from a friend who told me that our mutual friend Ariel had been shot 5 times. He lived. The shooter, Craig, did 15 years in prison because of that. Now, what if I was to tell you that I have Craig and Ariel on the show today? It's a story of redemption, healing, forgiveness, street life, drugs. It's a heavy, powerful story that I hope you guys find inspiring. Without further ado, let's get into it. Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming out. Nichols, welcome. Ariel, welcome to the DBS podcast. I want to start with you, Ariel. 2005, prior to the dispute, where were you at your life, like, personally? And you're going to move that a little closer to you.
I think I was like in a dark place. You know, I was ripping and running. I was trying to get every dollar I could. I didn't care how. In that lifestyle, I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of poor decisions, most of it fueled by my addiction, you know, but also greed, you know. It's a very powerful thing when, you know, you want what you want when you want it and you want it now. So I kept thinking that way, and that ended up with me bending my moral compass even more and more until I broke it, and I just didn't care. I engaged in a lot of different activities to get funds to feed my addiction and my family the best way I could. I couldn't keep a job because I was addicted. You know, they take urine tests. I was just living a crazy lifestyle. And along the way I met, you know, different people and engaged in different activities. And as we progress in this interview, you'll find out more about some of the activities that took place. But yeah, I was in a dark place and just doing all the wrong things, trying to, you know, keep myself fed and my high going, pretty much.
Yeah. This is heavy for me. I must admit, it's heavy for me because I'm a personal friend of yours, and I remember going through that time. And it was hard, you know, to see you going through that. And I myself led a lifestyle, you know, that was, you know, drug-induced at a certain time, you know. Everyone's like rock bottom is different, you know. And I remember there was a time where I felt, you know, it was dark for you, as it was for me. But this is about you. So you're saying 2005, that was, would you say that was the darkest point? Or was there even...
It got darker after.
Yeah.
After, in 2005, the incident that took place, which is why we're here, it kind of like really tested all my... you know, mental, emotional stability.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I thought I had it bad before that, right? In 2005, you know, my father passed away. I was trying to walk in his steps through complicated bereavement. I was using drugs. I was living a lifestyle that was not conducive towards any type of productivity. But in reality, it was chemically induced, right? It was the drugs that kept me in a state of depression. After that, after the incident where I was shot, where I was near-death experience, I really had reason to, you know, to mope. And that fueled my addiction and addictive personality. But, you know, it was through that I was able to find recovery. So it's almost like, you know, the laws of equilibrium took place and I was able to find light out of that. So now we're here full circle. Yeah. And I'm grateful. I'm forever grateful for all the things that have taken place.
Nichols, if I get your attention for a minute, where would you say you are, like, emotionally, and where were you at in 2005? What was going on in your life?
I was in the streets. I was a street dude. I was gangbanging. I'm still gangbanging. The streets just got a hold of me. I love the streets. I wasn't saying I was lost or I was confused. I was just a street dude. I always wanted to be in the streets, and I always wanted people to know who I was. So I always wanted to get my name up. And That's where I was at. Emotionally, I didn't care if I lived or died.
Has that changed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
changed a lot.
And did you guys know each other prior to the altercation?
Oh, you asking me or him?
I'm asking both of you. Like, what was the relationship prior to the dispute?
It was a transactional relationship.
Okay.
Like we had similar business agendas, and then through his colleagues, I mean that's the best I could call it. Me and him met. So I was doing business with a friend of his. I dare call him a friend, at the time, and then through that process, me and him would be engaged in conversation. And then little by little, I guess we became familiar with each other, but we weren't like, me, let's go have some drinks, let's go chill. It was more like negotiations and, transactions,
Right. Okay.
if I remember correctly, because a lot of that was a foggy time.
Right. So shortly after that shit went down, I mean, you were shot 5 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas, how long did you end up spending inside off of that?
I did 14 and a half years, 2 weeks, 9 days, 4 hours, and I think it was 27 or 28 minutes.
Wow, it's crazy how the intricate time of it. And Ariel, do you feel like you hold on to your sobriety like that, like the days and time?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The way his time in that state of, I would say distress, because you're always on alert there. You can't really, drop your guards. That's kind of the way it feels about my recovery. I'm always watching myself and making sure that I don't betray myself and I don't sabotage myself. So every day is a triumph. Like, he said all those days he survived that, right? And then I feel like every day I get through life and overcome some of the daily stress. It's like, yes, now I got 11 years, 6 days, some change. So I guess it's equally, impactful.
Right.
I mean, everything happens for a reason. We may not understand the reason why it happened right then and then, and it may take years, even decades, but you could look back and reflect on, I'm glad I went through that situation because I wouldn't be who I am today. Like, I hate prison with a passion.
We don't know why things happen, but I think inevitably a platform like this is super inspiring to anyone who's out there using drugs, who's anyone who's got a beef with somebody or is actively gangbanging it, or they want to choose another way of handling a situation. I think you guys displaying like ownership of what was done and coming on here is pretty fucking impressive, man. So props to you guys for doing that. Nicholas, let me ask you, like, at what point, like during the imprisonment, did it feel like you were ready to, like, I guess, was it immediate or did it take some time? Because it just feels. How was the timeline for that? Was it immediate that you were like, once I'm done here, I'm okay with what I did, or how did that go?
I'm still not okay with what I did. Prison is either gonna make you or break you. Prison made me a better person mentally, physically, emotionally, but it took, I say, about 10 and a half, 11 years for me to finally wake up and say, damn, like, when you gonna grow the fuck up? When you gonna stop listening to other people? When you gonna stop following other people? When you gonna be your own man and do what you supposed to do? When you gonna get your shit together? Excuse my language.
No, that's fine, man.
So it took me all of that. It took me going back and forth to the box. It took me from getting stabbed, from getting jumped, from police violating me, for me to finally wake up and realize it. And it took all them years.
Wow. Would you say the immediate upbringing was chaotic, like at home, like adopting that lifestyle, banging in the street, being in the street? Was it something that was learned, or was something that you kind of like adopted?
I adapted to my environment.
1 second. I just want to make sure this is close to me. This is important stuff. Yeah, right there. There we go.
I adapted to my environment. And me growing up in the Lower East Side, when you walk out your door, that's what you see. You see, back then when I grew up, I was born in 1980. So in my era growing up, you didn't have the Bloods, Crips, and shit like that. You just had street gangs, projects, Lenny and Ward, Jacob Reeves. We all had our own little crews in the projects. Mm-hmm. But this is what you walked outside and you seen every day. You seen the drug dealers, you seen the flashy cars, the jewelry, you seen people getting money. This is what you seen. So you adapt to your environment. It's the same thing when you go to the penitentiary. You adapt to your penitentiary. Whatever jail they send you to, you're going to adapt to it. You have no choice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I adapted to it. Now when I come home after all these years, I look at the streets now, it's different. But I adapt to it. I'm still not fully adapt to it because I still wake up at 4:30 every morning. And I've been home now going on 2 years. And I still get up at 4:30 every morning. I still go to sleep by 10:30 at night. So I'm still programmed. And that's a good thing. Because before, he'll tell you, I used to be outside 2, 3, 4 in the morning, running the streets crazy, reckless, starting trouble, robbing people, doing crazy things. But now as I'm older, wife, kids, my mind is different. I'm still in the streets, but I'm not in the streets the way I used to be in the streets. I'm more mature now. I don't hang out with 10, 15 dudes. Everybody that I consider like my family, I can count on one hand. Because all the people that are like really my comrades, my brothers, they're never coming home. They in the penitentiary. They're never coming home. They're going to die in the penitentiary if they don't get a good appeal. Those are my brothers. Those are the people that was with me in the trenches. Out here in the streets, your day one was to flip on you. So I don't have no friends out here in the streets. I have associates. And that's why.
That's interesting he said that because I remember during the first 3 years of like recuperating from the multiple gunshot wounds, I kept getting arrested for, dumb, drunk, intoxicated, in public type of stupidity. But there was one arrest where I ended up in Rikers. And I remember meeting a dude, I forgot his name, but he was locked up with Nichols. And he told me, I spoke to Nichols, and he said that, he overdid it, that he didn't mean, that I didn't deserve that. And I was so shocked. I thought the dude was trying to rock me to sleep, to try to do something dirt to me, because that's one of the things they do is friendly extortion or, disarm you with a smile. But I kept that in my ear. Like, first off, it would be ballsy of him to show any sign of weakness in prison, talking about regret. And this is like the first 3 years. So that made me have a little bit more respect for him, because even if it's like minimally true that he showed any sign of consciousness and regret, then one, I'm not bugging. I didn't deserve that. And two, this means that there's a likelihood that he won't do this to anyone else. So I remember hearing it. I remember coming home from it and processing it. And then, of course, started drinking and drugging again. And I kind of left it in the back of my head. But for years, as I got sober, I would speak to my therapist and we would do these exercises called empty chair. And I would speak to him from an empty chair. And I never once injected or considered that he would say those words that he said to me when I first met up with him in the hood. His first words were, I didn't mean, I didn't mean to do it like, that hard. I didn't mean to do that. And that shit blew me away, because of all the conversations I've had, of all the scenarios I've played, I've never considered that type of humility, that type of, humanity and humbleness. So that's what started this. That's what started. And I immediately left from that conversation on the bench with a weight lifted off of me. It was kind of scary, because it was like, whoa, you're vulnerable right now. Chill. You're vulnerable to attack, right? But I felt the sincerity. So
it's probably intuition too. I mean, just so it's clear. I mean, you do your time. It's And then, so Ariel, you have this dialogue going on in your head, and you knew
Hero, villain.
right, and you knew you can actually meet up with Nichols and really approach the situation and see what
I didn't know.
You didn't know, but I think some
But I
of
felt urged to.
maybe was something with like the intuition probably telling you it probably is okay to do.
Well, my family were against this, right? So I spoke to my therapist about this. I even spoke about visiting him in prison. This was years ago. And my therapist was like, well, we don't really know where he's at mentally, emotionally. We don't know what he's going through. You might be the bane of his existence. You might be the reason. He might feel that it's your fault that he's locked up, not the act that he did. So I'm like, all right, I guess I can't visit him. And then I would talk to my family about, me wanting to speak to him. And they were like, nah. So when I came back to New York, this was like the top of the list. There's things I need to do, business and personal and emotional and relationship. But this was like dead top of the list. I got to figure out what's happening because one, he's home, right? He did his time. That in itself is scarring, right? So I've had 15 years to process the injury. He's just coming home. Now he's got to process the incarceration. Then he's got to process the action, right? So I felt that it needed some, to be addressed. So I felt, it important to speak to him. And I gambled. I didn't know where his head was going to be at, but I felt like I'm pretty good at judging situations. And I approached it. I even had people tell me, nah, he's a hothead. He just came home. He's wilding. Don't do it. And I couldn't stop myself.
Nichols, when Ariel met up with you, I mean, that was unannounced too. It wasn't like he,
Right.
if I remember correctly, when you were telling me the story, he had met you, you waited for Nichols in front of his building, right?
Right.
Hopefully like the early hours on a Saturday or Sunday, was it?
I think it was a weekday.
A weekday?
Right?
It was a weekday. He was sitting there chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming actually from the store with, a bunch of young dudes that I'll be hanging out with sometime when we shoot dice and shit like that. Excuse my language again, but
No, that's fine, man. You can.
So he looked at me. He's like, "Yo, I gotta holler at you." And I looked at him. I ain't really paying no mind. I was like, "Word, all right." So I just stood there, and then I looked at him again. I said, "Nah, that can't be this dude."
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I'm on point. I know what I did to you already. I don't know what's going through your mind. I don't really know. I heard, Ariel be coming through the barbershop. We both go to the same barbershop. We both been going to the same barbershop since we was kids. They ain't never gonna stop. So I pull up to the barbershop. They was, Ariel just left. Yo, Ariel was just here. Boom, boom. When he pull up there, Nichols just left. Nichols was just here.
You ain't see him? You just...
Wow.
And the crazy thing is we probably crossed paths so many times and just didn't really pay attention.
The universe did not allow contact.
And that one day, it happened. And I was surprised the way he approached the situation and how he handled it. And he was surprised the way how I approached the situation and I handled it. Because at the end of the day, I tried to take this man's life. I shot him 5 times. Close range. I tried to end his career. He's still living. It wasn't his time. How you gonna think? I know if somebody shoot me, I see you, it's lit. It's up. I don't give if we 90 years old. That's just my mentality though. Because I've been in the streets for so long that's all I know. Revenge, 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 revenge. But revenge is best served cold and with peace. So I understand that now. And I'm 40 years old now. I went to prison, I was 23, going on 24. I'm 40 now. So my whole mind frame now is totally different. What I did when I was that age, I mean, there's a lot of kids that still do it.
Yeah, I think there's something in you though that's special in the sense that you kind of, and it's special for you because that's forgiveness. And Nichols, you have taking a step forward to own it. And I think that
Because-
you always had that in you. I don't think that was something.
I mean, what I learned from an old timer while I was incarcerated was, his name is Old Timer Al. When I met him, it was like my 4th year in the penitentiary. He already had 28 years in. He's never going home. He's going to die in the penitentiary, and he faces that fact. He's content with it. He know what he did, but he told me, you can't never walk around and expect to forgive somebody else if you can't even forgive yourself. You can't expect to love somebody else if you can't even love yourself. So that always stuck with me. Even though when he said it to me, it was like, come on, now you preaching to me. It went in one ear, but it never went out the other ear. It stood because the seed was planted. It just took time for it to grow, and it finally grew. I didn't forgive myself for doing what I did. It wasn't forgiving myself for shooting him. It was what I left behind, how I didn't think about my family. I just had a daughter. My daughter was just born. She wasn't even a month old yet. I didn't think about her. I didn't think about her mother, her brother, her sister. I didn't think about nothing that night. And it's like, I still, to this day, I can honestly say I'm still that way to a certain extent, that I don't, when I'm in a zone, all I see is red. I don't realize the damage and nothing until the smoke clears. Like right now, I'm going back and forth with somebody on a text because I let my anger supersede my intelligence, and I didn't realize what was said and done until the smoke cleared. So now I'm pleading and begging.
Humility.
You know what I'm saying? So life has a way of throwing shit back at you and making you go through what you just put somebody else through.
That's powerful. And you have a good sense of awareness, and that's emotional intelligence, man. That's heavy. I mean, that's the thing. I think we are quite often in our individual lives, we get caught up with maybe be reactionary. And right, your daughter, you know, your girlfriend or wife at the time, your mother, your father, whoever immediately close to you, they suffer. You know, your family suffered. I suffered, you know, from the outside as a close friend of you. Present day, what are the steps taken forward, Nichols, to maintain like that humility and heart? Like, you know, I'm sure, you know, when you come out, it's not like you're given you know, you might streetwise, it might be like, yeah, Nichols is home or whatever, but what do you do so you stay on the straight and narrow, so you're there for your kid, so you could be, you know, the man that you have the potential to be? Like, what steps are taken forward?
You have to like me. I can't speak for everybody else, but me, I move out here the same way I moved in the penitentiary. I keep my circle small. I think before I react to certain situations, but there's certain situations that I just react to. You know, when you beefing with your girl, you just react. You don't stop and think and evaluate and plan.
Right.
You just,
It's
know what I'm
emotional.
saying?
Yeah.
But when it comes to dealing with streets, I'm not in the streets like that. My circle is very small. I'm programmed already. And before I do something crazy or dumb, I always think about my brothers that's still behind the wall, that's never coming home. And I know for a fact they're never coming home. They call my phone every day. I'm on parole. I got a drug program on the phone, an anger management program I got to deal with, and that shit is frustrating. I don't use drugs, but you have to do these programs. Anger management, yeah, I got a short temper, but I took that program in the penitentiary, but I still got to take it out here.
Would you say that anger management program is helpful?
No, it's not.
It's kind of like a cookie cutter type shit.
Because no program and no one can help you if you don't want to help yourself. There's no program in this world that can physically, mentally, emotionally help you if you don't want to physically, mentally, emotionally help yourself. Period. That's the truth.
The buy-in is important. It's important for you to...
It's just the same thing I used to say to dudes when we was in ASAP. Bro, if you choose to do drugs, you could choose to stop. Smoking cigarettes, the same thing. It's a mental thing. Everything is mental. People that it's just, you gotta wanna do this. It's just like you heard that saying, yo, you could take a horse to the lake, but you can't force a horse to drink. It's the same thing in real life. I could take you to a program, but I can't force you to get help. You gotta wanna help yourself. You gotta want that. He wanted that. It took, and I'm not even gonna say it took what he went through physically, it's what he went through mentally by himself. All them demons he was fighting. Because when I first met him, yeah, he was older than me. We met, but we was cool. We was on a good,
no
yo, what's
bad
up,
blood,
brother?
yeah.
How you? Was good? Ha. We chill here and there. Used to blow it down, pull up at the pier in the park car, blow it down. We chilled. But that one night is what changed the whole events of our relationship. Because he wasn't gangbanging. I was. My man tell me something that's a part of what I was a part of is loyalty. Is death before dishonor. So that's what I live by. I went to prison, people telling me this, that, and the third. I went to prison. He ain't tell on me. But all them blood niggas that I used to hang out with, when the police raided their crib, those are the ones that pointed the fingers at me. His name is Hot Nichols. He did it. He shot him. And then when I came home, everybody, yo, I thought Ariel told on you. Ariel ain't never tell on me. How can a man tell on you that's in a coma? How? That's common sense. But I see what dudes do. They still try to start stuff up, try to stir the pot still. So they say shit just to see how you gonna react to it. The same thing they said, yo, they told him probably, yo, Nick was out here bugging out, wilding. That's to throw him off his truth or square. He out here living his best life now. Positive, drug-free, doing his thing. You always gonna have people that's gonna try to make you go back into your old self. But that's why I say growth and development, it starts with inside yourself.
I agree, 110%. He said something that touched me where OG Al said, if you don't forgive yourself, you won't forgive others. If you don't love yourself, you can't love others. And today, my whole objective is to wake up and be a friend to me. And it's hard because, you want to do better. You want to get more. You want to do bigger things. And you got to stop and say, hold up. Right now, this second, I woke up. I'm grateful. I woke up to use the bathroom. No catheter, no help from some doctor. I'm grateful. And that type of gratitude humbles me. And that allows me to be kind to me and be able to be grateful that I have the running water. And because I understand how it could be. It could be a whole nother story. I could be, in a hospital. I was just in a hospital for some bowel obstruction a month ago. Horrible position to be in, but at the end of the day, if I can just sustain humility, humbleness, I can get all the things I want. Because if I get all the things I want and I'm not humble, it's going to end up ruining me. So it's a very special dance between me and myself, because at the end of the day, he was not my enemy. That night, those events made him my enemy, but I was my enemy. I was the one chasing drugs. I was the one breaking my own moral code from the same streets that we both came from. There was things I was willing to do, and there was things I wasn't willing to do. But once you put those drugs in the mix, that list changes. Now, all of a sudden, I'm negotiating with how much will I sell my soul for? First, it was I would never sell my soul. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, damn, I'm breaking rules that I picked up along the way, code of conduct that I told myself I wouldn't break, and now I'm kind of open to it. And that's where today I hold myself accountable. And I say, you know what? I really need closure. Now, I might not get 100% closure from this because I'll still have wounds, but I'll definitely get some type of resolution. I won't worry about my mom and, my siblings being hurt by a boogeyman that doesn't exist. This man has grown. I can't use him as an excuse to not meet my fullest potential, which was happening. My therapist wanted to talk about childhood trauma, this and the third. I was stuck on this. And now I have to do the work. Now I have no excuse. I can't use them anymore. So now it's about moving forward. And I'm hoping that I'm certain that this is the first steps towards that. For both of us, I hope.
What steps do you take forward to evolve and grow on your own?
Forgiveness. I forgive myself for, the people, places, and things that I would involve myself with. I forgive myself for being so angry at him, not considering the underlying conditions, his oath to his gang, his set, not considering his misguided, journey. We don't all get from point A to point B the same way. Some of us have to, deviate. And I've deviated, but now I'm trying to get to point B. So I have to let my growth happen. So my first step is being able to have an honest conversation with myself in the mirror and say, you know what? You have to let go. You survived. You have the shirt to prove it, the scars to prove it. Embrace that experience and move forward. So it's about forgiveness of myself and naturally him as well.
And what about you, Nichols? You said like you had like a revelation when you spoke to the OG. Was it Al? OG Al? But beyond that, let's say like the addiction that might hold Ariel in a grip, right? To drugs. Like the addiction to like that certain street life. If something is like tempting or like waving in your face, what steps do you take forward, like on a personal level?
To de-escalate.
To de-escalate it and get your mind, and reset your mind to think, that's not the right thing. It's tempting, but I know I'm here for a bigger reason. I know there's more importance. I know I got to be here for my family. Or is it just that? Maybe it's thinking about your family.
It's me per se is like, I'm older now.
So you think it's just maturity?
I think it's not just mature, but it's the growth and development that I went through, and it's other people that I've been around, their life experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got kids that's just dying for no reason. Even in my hood to this day, you got kids, and I mean kids, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old that's running around with guns, doing all God knows what.
Smoking K2.
Wow. I got kids in my building, and they not even 14 to be standing in the hallway smoking weed. So I look at shit like that, and then I think about that 8x10 cell. How the police used to violate, and you can't do nothing. You put your hands on them, you automatically get a new charge. You may whip one of them out, but you're going to get whipped out, and you're going to get a whole new bid. It's like, they don't just violate us, they violate your family too. By making them sit out there for mad long before they call you, searching them. It's like, prison is designed to break up happy homes and break up families. That's why they send you so far. They violate all your personal stuff. Like, I done been through so much. I don't never want to go back to the penitentiary, bro. But if I have to, for my family, with no hesitation, I'll do 25 with no problem for my wife and kids. No problem.
Yeah, it's wild how some of these prisons, like let's say in upstate or whatever, how whole towns thrive.
Yes.
Because of the lockup.
College paid for.
The only time they see a black or Latino person up there, you know what I'm saying, is because they're in jail. And the idea of that is solidified. Like, oh yeah, black and Latinos are criminals, and these whole towns are receiving monetary, like they're receiving work.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
But it's crazy, and it's like anybody could go to jail at any given time. Police, a judge, lawyer, anybody can go to, anything can happen in a split second. One of my right-hand mans that's up north right now, still to this day, they gave him 40 years to life because he was driving home with his man. He was drunk. and he killed his man. He had a car accident and vehicular manslaughter. His man died. And you sent him to prison for 40 years for that.
Wow.
You know he has to live with the fact that he killed his best friend that he grew up with. That's a sentence alone.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And my other man, Eric, killed himself. Because he couldn't, you could go to jail, but not everybody knows how to jail. That's a true art. You have to really know how to jail. And my boy Eric couldn't do it. He had 10 in already. He had 2 years to go home. And he couldn't do it no more. And he killed himself. Wow. So this is what I mean. Like,
that goes to show how
when you
tough
home,
that
when you
pressure is.
finally make it out of the penitentiary, it's like a breath of fresh air. Every day you wake up, you just hoping that it's not a dream. And every day I wake up, I pray that it's not a dream. Every day that I'm not dreaming, that this is really, I'm really home. I'm really free. I could go to the store when I want to. I ain't got to shit and piss in the same fucking area where I put my head, where I sleep. Because everything's like, I get to walk. I could wake up next to a beautiful woman every day.
ride bike.
Ride a bike. You get to do things.
Do you find? Do you take on the responsibility of like some of the younger kids who may look up to you like a dude, you know, that they look up to?
Sometimes
you know?
sometimes
Or you figure that's their business.
Nah,
I'll lead by example.
Sometimes I do be trying to talk, you know, to some of them, because I try to tell them like this. I got two young dudes that I really like. That's cool, but I see that they're really hotheads, cause I see myself in them when I was their age, and I try to explain to them like, bro, you don't want to go to the penitentiary. This out here is what it is. You run around here, you tough, you do this. Everybody know this already that you like that. But when you get to the penitentiary, you gonna run across people that's really like that. You gonna lose your freedom at the age of 15, 16. You really wanna go to jail? You still young, you got your whole life ahead of you. Yo, but these dudes, forget these dudes, bro. Walk away. Sometimes you have to walk away. Sometimes you got to think for the next person.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do that a lot. I do that still to this day. I got to think for the next person because I know me. I'm going to take it to a level that I know you're not going to take it to. So let me think for you first. You could talk, run your mouth. I'm going to think for you. I'm going to give you a pass, and I'm going to walk away from you.
Yeah.
But you're only human and can only take so much, too.
Yes, you can only take so much, but at the end of the day, my thing is this. I don't wish prison on no man except child molesters, rapists. I don't wish prison on my worst enemy at all. That prison is glorified. You know, with certain people, they glorify the penitentiary. How can you glorify something that's called modern day slavery, where you caged in like you a fucking animal, where they got scared straight programs walking through the jail, looking at you in your cell like they visiting a zoo. Or when the police come to your cell and tell you to strip ass naked, bend over and spray your butt cheeks. Whenever they want. I don't wish prison on no man. Prison is not designed for us. It's not designed for us. I don't give a fuck how many niggas you killed. It's not designed for us.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem. It seems like anyone who's incarcerated, for the most part, they a lot of times they go back in.
Yes.
I mean, you probably, you know.
You know why they go back in?
So it doesn't work. Like if you're saying this is the punishment, so you don't, you know.
You know why they go back in?
That's why, and I don't mean to interrupt. I want you to hold that thought. That's why I think there's something different in you internally, because you didn't go back in. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's something in you that, like, you know, in so many words, I think it's special because you didn't fall into that cycle of repeating it. Like you have some sort of like conscious, like you know.
Statistics say This is what statistics say.
Right.
Like if you look in the almanac, statistics say that people that go to jail with skid bids always end up coming back.
What's a skid bid?
A skid bid is like a 1 to 3,
Okay.
2 to 4, 3 to 6. They always come back. But people that do a decade and more never come back. And if they do come back, they come back and their lights got put out. And the reason that is, in my opinion, is when you do a skid bid, it's just a home away from home. It's like a vacation. It's nothing. Like you're not really learning nothing. You're not really going through nothing. But when you got time to do, like when I first got locked up, sentenced to 15 years, my first 8 years, partying, getting in trouble, going in and out the box, running around reckless. It didn't hit me. When it hit 11, I was like, yo, bro, I'm getting old. I'm starting to see the same faces, keep recycling in this bitch. You done went home and came back. I'm still here. You went home and came back 4 times already, and I'm still here. They give me a shot, I ain't never coming back. So as you do more and more time, you start going through self-growth and development. You start realizing things that you would never pay attention to. You would never realize it if you was on a skid bid. Because when you're on a skid bid, 9 times out of 10, you're going to a medium.
And you probably just sleeping, eating, working.
You run around with a bunch of young people.
You know what's interesting is like both of you have the similar like take on, and I agree that the change comes within. I mean, no one could say there might be some seeds planted here and there, but even I remember vividly visiting you at the hospital. You stretched out. I mean, it was it was hard, and then soon after that, you continued with a certain lifestyle, and I think something went off. So I asked that question, or I bring that up. It's like, what could be the catalyst to change? But a lot of times, it's the individual. We could put things in place or whatever, but a lot of times it is the individual, I guess.
Yeah, you have to want it, right?
Yeah.
I wanted it. I remember when my last arrest, a felony arrest, I was offered a program. And everybody I was locked up with, Little and the rest of the dudes I grew up with, were like, don't do a program, it's a trap. They're going to have you there for a year or two and then remand you. Some shitty-ass client, counselor's going to get in your face and, it's a trap. But I wanted it. I wanted something different. So I went to the judge about 3 or 4 times in a 3 or 4 month process. Every month they send you to the judge. And finally I told my lawyer, let's go for that program. Let's go for diversion court. And sure enough, the judge was like, I don't see this happening, because it's your second felony. But if you do succeed, I'll erase the first felony or seal the first felony and erase the second felony from your record. And I remember I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I actually bailed out so I can find my own program. They wanted to send me somewhere up in the woods, which I felt was not smart because I got high in the city, not in the woods. I need to learn how to navigate life in the city. So I wound up finding this program, amazing program called El Regreso. It's like the Marines of programs. It's all Spanish, 50 men residential program. And I was there exactly 2 years. I got remanded one time and I stood in jail for like a month and a half in the middle of my treatment. But I wanted it. I wanted it so much that even after I got remanded, they tried to send me back. I said, not unless they mandate Bellevue Hospital mental health in my program, because there's no point of me being in a program if I'm not addressing the things that keep me up at night, which was the trauma of the shooting. So the judge mandated that the program put that in my treatment plan. And then every week I was going to therapy. Right. And that was the beginning of me giving my mental health the respect it deserved, rather than just repressing it and working out to redirect the anxiety that came with it. I actually started addressing it, and I've been in therapy since. And I think that that's the best tool I have going for myself, is the fact that I keep me in check.
I mean, it amazes me that something scary, you know, for both of you to go through, you know, you're suspended in time, you know, can have such a positive outcome. And I just think it's refreshing. Like a story like this is refreshing. I think it's important. And I think it goes beyond us. I think, you know, what's shared here can save lives. I think people listen. You know, we might not even be fully aware of that. You know, people tap in, listen, and they're like, wow. You know, because I think people with addiction or people in a certain, you know, life of gang banging or whatever, you know, might feel alone. And, you know, you're never alone. I think there's always another option. And something's not always easy because we're conditioned to think a certain way, to behave a certain way. We know sometimes the results of a certain behavior that we participate in is familiar, and sometimes we want to go in that familiar route. But what you guys both did individually for your own lives personally with things that were unfamiliar to you. So I think you guys got to give yourselves a lot of props and respect for that. And respect to both of you guys for doing that for yourselves, because that extends to your family and friends. And there's a lot of people out there, you know, whether we know it or not, there's a lot of people out there who love us and look up to us.
I would like to say that I'm very much appreciative of you coming out here today, of you speaking to me in such, you know, respect and, you know, the embrace. And I want you to know that I forgive you, and I hope you forgive you. And the youth can use you as you know, an agent of change, of positive change. And those two sidekicks that you have, that you're trying to guide them right. Words are one thing, but action is another. So when they see you handling things with the same level of grace that you're handling us, I think they'll be like, whoa, I thought I'm trying to like live up to his reputation as Hot Nickels, and he's showing me that there's other ways. So I can't tell you how to, you know, do your thing, but I'm just saying I'm grateful for this time and this humility, and I want you to know that I forgive you, and I don't want you to carry that with you anymore.
I appreciate it, brother.
Real talk.
I appreciate it. I do. You know, because at the end of the day, it's like I still fight my own demons, because you could forgive, but you can never forget.
Right.
And even though I forgave myself, I don't forget what I did. And what I did to him, it didn't just affect him. It affected everybody around me, everybody around him. So it affected multiple people on multiple stages. And I can honestly say, like, it made me a better person. It made me grow up. It made me realize that life is precious. Live it to the fullest. So I try to show my kids that every day now. I don't want them to ever see that side of me. I shield that from them. But they see, you know, the respect that I get from people in the streets. Like my son said the other day, Dad, you know everybody. Everybody know you. No matter where we go, everybody know you. I say, yeah, I'm respected the way I'm supposed to, the way a man is supposed to be respected. But I can't tell him I'm respected out of fear. Some people respect me out of love, but majority of the people that respect me is out of fear. I want him to be better than me. I want him to be better than his mother. My son is smart as shit, intelligent, incredible. My daughter's amazing. I don't want them to be nothing like me. I want them to be better than me. I want them to be whatever they want to be. They want to be the president of the United States. I'm going to be their biggest cheerleader. My son want to be a doctor. I'm going to be his biggest cheerleader. Whatever they want to do in life, I'm going to be their biggest cheerleader. I don't never want them to walk down the path that I walked. I grew up without a pops. That's why there's a lot of misguidance in this world now, because we grew up without a male figure. That's one thing. I don't want my son to ever grow up like I grew up. I think that's why I chose the street life, because the streets was my pops. My grandmother, she did her best job. She the truth. She raised all of us. But she couldn't do what the streets did. She couldn't do what a man's job is supposed to. So that's why I am the way I am with my son. If my son was to call me right now and tell me I want to go to the park, I'm going to say bye and I'm going to go get my son. I'm on call. I'm on deck for him. Rain, sleet, snow, or hell. 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I drop everything for him.
It's a beautiful thing.
For his sister, for his mother, I drop everything. Family first. That's my Instagram. Family first. 40.
Yeah, I mean, this really showcases the human responsibility and it's to evolve. And I think you guys, you gentlemen, are both doing a great job on that. And in closing, I just want to thank you guys again. I appreciate it, man. That's our episode. Do you have anything else to share?
I appreciate you for having us.
Nah, man, I really
Your story
appreciate it.
needs to be
I was,
told.
I have to admit, and I was super nervous about it for a number of different reasons, you know, because I want to make sure you guys felt
Comfortable enough.
yeah, comfortable. And trust me, we're sharing the story because I didn't want to exploit a dispute because this ain't Vlad TV where I'm like, oh, so what happened? You know, this is something more. I want it to be special. I don't want it to be some Vlad shit. You know,
Right.
I want it to be real and organic. And I think you guys did a great job with doing that. So thank you for making it easy for me as a guy who facilitates, you know, hosting the show.
You did
and
great.
thank you for
Thank you.
sharing and being so generous with your time. And that's our show. Thank you so much, guys. We out of here. Peace.
All right, man.
Thank you,
Peace.
brethren.